Hi everybody, Cynthia here. I'm back with another making embellishments video series, and today I've been working on these little cute guys, the scarecrows. So I'll just show you a few of them. Whoop! There's this little guy here, and show you this guy. They're all a little bit different because their faces are hand-drawn. But I've been having so much fun making these. And this style of making a scarecrow is nothing new. They've been around for a long time. And what I mean by this style is this punch that I have here looks like the top note die that they have out. And they've been making larger top note scarecrows for a very long time. But I noticed, I use this punch a lot, and I noticed a long time ago this looks like the top note. Now this is a 2-inch punch from the Paper Studio, and I bought this a long time ago at Hobby Lobby. So this is what I use to make the hat and the face. But if you don't have this punch, you could probably just do a rectangle piece. This measures, the face measures about 2 by 1 1/4, and then you could just round your corners. Or I did find in my Cricut Baby Steps cartridge that, I used this teardrop here on page 50 to use for the eyes, and they're about 1/2 of an inch, a little bit less than 1/2 inch. I sized those out at. But when I was flipping through, I found it looks like a top note cut here, and this was on page 61. So you can check out your Cricut cartridges or what you have online, and you might be able to find it there if you can't find the punch. But anyway, I was making a bunch of these, and I thought I would stop what I was doing and make one along with you. So let's get started. I'm going to leave one little guy out here for a little reference. I love making these for my fall projects. Okay, so let's start with the hair. So I have a piece of like a mustard yellow type color for the hair, and as you can see, it's fringed out. And so what I did was I just cut a strip about a little over 1/2 an inch, and I started fringing the paper. Now I used these fringe scissors from EK Success Tools, and I got these this one on Amazon, but they also call them paper shredder scissors. And as you can see here, they have a few blades, and basically it just shreds paper. So I went in and I just started making some cuts, and I just went down the line. And then some of the pieces for me got a little too thick, so I just went in with my regular scissors and I cut them even thinner. And if you don't have the paper shredder scissors, it's okay, because you can just use your scissors and just make yourself little slices in your paper. And then what I did was I ripped off about 1/2 of an inch worth to create the hair. So again, you have a bunch of cuts here. And then what I did, and I'll show you with my tweezers because it's a little bit easier for me, is I just folded this in and this in, and then this little piece here I add glue, and I put it in on the bottom, behind the hat, which I'll show you how to put together. But that's how I made my hair. Okay, so I'm just gonna fold this one, fold this side in, and this side in. And then all we have to do is put a little bit of glue right here. So that's how I created the hair. Again, the eyeballs are a teardrop cut. You can use any you like. These are a little less than a ½ inch. And then I have my top note style punch, and I used some walnut stain distress ink, and I just went around the edges and inked that up. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. Then I cut another top note piece, and I used my basket stitch embossing folder from Cuttlebug Cricut, and I ran it through my embossing folder. If you don't have this one, you could use whatever, polka dots, you know, just look through whatever you have. And I cut it in half so you can get 2 hats out of these. Now this is the top part of our hat. So again, I took some walnut stain and I ran over the part that's embossed, and I went around all the edges. And then I also cut a strip and ran that through my embossing folder. This is for the hat rim. It's 1½ inches long by ½ inch wide. And I took my corner rounder and I put it in, and I rounded this corner, and then right opposite of that I rounded that corner. So you're just going to round the top parts of it, and then this leave alone. You don't need to round that. And again, I ran some walnut stain over the embossed parts and the edges. So I'm going to set this stain aside. Took a little piece of foam tape for dimension. Now you don't want to put the foam tape all the way across, because if you can see here, pieces of your hat are going to stick out and you don't need foam there. So I'm going to put the foam piece in the center, peel it back, and then your rounded parts you want to be the top part of your rim and the corners on the bottom. I'm just going to lay that across this bottom piece of the top note cut. Oh. And when you do that, you want to make sure it's balanced on both sides. It's hanging out. So it looks like that. And then I'm going to take some hot glue on the top of this part here. And I'm going to lay my hat on a little crooked. Just like that. Okay. And you're going to take those pieces of hair that we folded. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue there. And what we're going to do is slide it underneath the hat rim and glue it to this back piece here, the rim. And I kind of had it pointing out. Okay, so you're going to go up underneath and glue it to the actual hat rim, not the face part, because you want a little bit of dimension in the hair. And then once that dried, I just kind of went in and started bending them and crunching the hair up just to give it a little bit of character. And you could do that with your tweezers too. Kind of spread them out. And we're going to do that again to the other side. A little bit of hot glue on the top. tuck it up underneath the hat rim and glue it to the rim of the hat. I kind of tilted it a little, and then when it's dry, you want to wrinkle up these pieces and just kind of spread them out until you get the desired look that you want. Okay, so there's his hair. I'm going to take these teardrops, add a little bit of glue, and I glued them on Cricut. So this one I'm just going to glue over here. And the other one I'm going to go a little bit lower and kind of angle it a little bit more. So it's not perfectly straight across. Okay, just like that. And then before we draw our face or our eyes on, what I did was I took my snowflake punch and some olive green cardstock, and I punched out a snowflake because I'm going to use this for my greens. So all I did was I cut that in half. Whoop. And then I'm going to show you with my tweezers. I took this part of this snowflake and I'm going to fold it in between those two so I have 3 points. And I'll do that again with this side. Take this edge of the snowflake, fold it in till I had 3 points. Take a little bit of glue and glue them across from each other, just like that. You can use any kind of greens you want. I just figured some people don't have dyes of leaves or greens, so I figured if you had a snowflake punch, you could use that as well. So we have 3 on this side, 3 on the other side. I took this little flower punch from the Paper Studio, and I got this at Hobby Lobby as well. And I punched out a little orange flower. And I'm just going to take a little bit of glue, glue that right in the center. And then I'm kind of pinching it in the center and taking my tweezers and lifting my petals just to just so that the flower is not completely flat. And I will definitely zoom in my camera when I draw the face so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Okay, so that just kind of bumped up those flower petals a little bit. And then I got these pearl strips from the Dollar Tree, and I just kind of cut, because there's a lot of glue tape in between because they're actually strips. So I just cut right next to the pearl and cut those strips off, and then took a pair of tweezers and pulled that pearl off and stuck it in the center of the flower, and then flip it around. Just going to add a dab of hot glue and glue that right on to the hat. Okay. Now for this part, I'm definitely going to zoom in my camera so y'all can see. So hopefully you won't get dizzy. So for this, I have an orange Sharpie pen, my white Jelly Roll pen, and one of my black pens, and they all have fine points. So for the eyes, I want it to make the black part like a teardrop as well, closer to a round circle, and I made it fairly large. Okay, hopefully that's in focus. I'm gonna do the same over here. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry for now and go ahead and right in between the eyes, I'm gonna start my triangle point. And just draw yourself a triangle between the two eyes and then color those in, or color it in, I should say. And then I wanted it to kind of look like his nose was stitched on and that he had a little bit of stitching in his face. So I'm going to draw those on now. So I did one right above the eye, just like a little S almost, and then just put 2 lines there. And then over here on the side of the eye, I'm going to do a little S as well, and 2 stitches. And then I also drew lines, little lines on the edge of his nose, all the way around that triangle piece to make it look like stitching. And then he kind of has a little bit of a wonky mouth, so I'm just going to draw a little crescent here and somewhat follow the top note edge and then swoop up and another crescent. And for the eyes with the white Jelly Roll, I also drew little crescents on the black part of his eyes. And then to finish him off, I had sent a picture of this one to my best friend Misha, and she had the idea to kind of put a little bit of pink in his cheeks. So let me grab my tweezers again. I just have this little white pom-pom, and I have some chalks from EK Success. These are quite old, but I do use them, and I'm just gonna get a little bit of chalk on my pom-pom, and I'll rub some off just so it's not too much. And then I just kind of made little circular motions with the pom-pom and put a little blush on his cheeks with that. I think I want to do a little bit more on this guy too. Darken him up a little. So that's it, guys. That's how I put my little Scarecrow embellishments together. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I hope you have fun making yours. Happy crafting!